1950s. Small, loud cars drove along the streets of America. New shops were opening up outside, and televisions were appearing in every home. From the outside, that time seemed like the rise of the American dream. But that dream was not the same for everyone. For white people, that decade was a symbol of progress. For Black people, that decade was still a time of pain, constant struggle, and great difficulty in making ends meet. In the world of misery and pain, a Black family's morning often began with hunger. Black farmers in southern states like Mississippi, Alabama, and Louisiana had to pick cotton by hand. They would set out for the fields before the sun rose. Once the sun's heat hit, even a shower of sweat did not stop them. The wages they received for a full day's work were meager. Sometimes the workers could not even earn enough to eat.
Life in the city was just as painful. Black people were assigned places to live. They were not allowed to rent houses in the right neighborhoods. When entering the store, white customers were served first. They were not allowed to enter the restaurant, even when there were empty chairs. On public buses, the rules were even stricter. You could only board from the back, never in the front. If a white person came and asked for a seat, you had to get up and give it up.
Imagine, a mother would teach her children to keep a smile on their faces as they left for work in the morning. Even when their stomachs were burning with hunger, they would teach them to bear it, don't speak up. Because as soon as they raised their voices, they were punished for breaking the rules of society. Although the legal system itself appeared neutral, it was deeply rooted in injustice. But the lives of Black people were not all about suffering. Even in that decade, a foundation of joy, music, and hope was still being built within their homes. Churches became the foundation of their souls. When they gathered at church on Sunday mornings, they would sing songs together and express their pain. The sound of the gospel would lighten the pain deep inside, even if only for a moment. That same church, those same songs, would keep them believing that tomorrow will be better. In the city streets, the sounds of blues and jazz echoed. Black artists poured their pain into music. Their voices were changing American culture. But the irony was, many white people who enjoyed listening to that music were still not ready to give those artists equal status.
The 1950s were not just a daily routine for Black people, but a school of life. Parents taught their children, it's not easy, but you have to live with dignity and head held high. Their children also had to endure discrimination in school. White children had separate rooms, books, and sports. They struggled to learn even in the face of old books, broken desks, and a neglected education system. Because they knew education is the true weapon of the future. At that time, the lives of Black people were, as it were, stuck between two worlds. One was a world where they had to constantly struggle to prove their existence, and another world, one filled with the warmth of family, culture, and community, even amidst that struggle. The tradition of neighbors helping each other and raising each other's children as if they were their own was still strong.
But as they walked down the street, fear was always in their eyes. The fear of being stopped by the police, the fear of being insulted by white youth, the worry of being fired from their jobs, these were all part of daily life. Yet even in the midst of that fear, their eyes never completely closed. Looking back to the 1950s, the story of Black people is not just a story of segregation, but also a story of courage. It is a story of a people whose voices were suppressed, who, despite their silence, maintained their dignity. This is the story of those who survived through music, prayer, and community. In that decade, on one corner of the street, you could hear white people laughing, while on the other, Black families were dreaming of a brighter future for their children. The dream where a person's worth was determined by hard work and integrity, not the color of their skin. That dream still seemed distant in the 1950s, but that dream, that belief, was ultimately growing into the seeds of a great movement in the future.